Welcome back to Hot Rod Guy Garage, and today we're going to mess with Project Freetro some, so stick around with me through the intro, and I'll be back and we'll talk about what we're doing. And alright guys, if you're following this series, you know I put the 1.3 liter 4-cylinder into Project Freetro out of the 96 Metro. So, I said in the last video I was going to make some stuff that wasn't going to make a lot of sense. Well, today it's going to make a little more sense and show a little more clarity on what's been going on. And why you gotta think outside the box sometimes. So stick around with me. I'll be right back. So in order for this swap to make sense to a lot of you, and why I said cutting some of this stuff off wasn't gonna make a lot of sense, I'm actually gonna do the 96 front end swap on the 94. So that will cover 89 through 94 in order to put the 95 up front end on the car. Now, for a long time, we've been told that the 95 up cars were wider. Well, I'm going to show you something right here. If you look at the top of this core support, the same width there, the same width there. The hoods are the same width. The dimensions here, front to back, are very similar. So, what I'm going to do, and the reason why I cut the core support out of Freetro, is I'm putting the 96 core support in it, so I have the bumper mount and the headlight mounts. And as you can see, the cutouts in the inner fender wells are almost the same also. Now, ignore the gaps down here. I still got some fitting to do to get this to sit where I want it to. And that's what we're going to do today in this video. And over here, we got some more gaps. And as you can see, there's an additional hole there that wasn't in the 94. There's still that hole there, even though it's a little differently shaped. So everything's pretty close, guys, as far as width, height, and things like that nature. So in order to put this 96 model 1.3 into Project Freetro, I did have to transfer the whole 96 wiring harness. Now, if you're going to do a carbureted swap or a turbo swap on a standalone, you would omit this portion. Same with the front end swap. If it's not your cup of tea, then, you know, it'll all go in there with stock core support, stock front end, all that good stuff. But in things I need to cover in this video, before we get too far into the front end swap stuff, the fuse boxes between the second gen, the MK3, the MK4, the 95 up body style, all the fuse boxes are the same. All the plugs that plug in the fuse box are the same. The difference is how your harnesses are routed. 95 up cars come through the firewall right above the frame rails on both sides. I did drill a hole down here in the firewall. There was an existing one on that side that I opened up so the harness could pass through. Where your older cars come out in the sides of the wheel wells. Well, what are you going to do to plug these holes? Well, the 95 up cars actually have block off plugs in these positions. And yes, I know there's a little rust here, and that's going to have to be addressed. But, guys, this stuff, we went all these years with everybody saying all this stuff was way, way different. And it's not all that different after all. If you notice, that's the 96 steering wheel with the airbag. Also put the 96 column in it with the 96 switches. I did have to change the upper steering column bracket. And obviously your trim won't work with the old style dash. But if you're in a pinch and you need the column, you can certainly adapt the 95 up stuff into an older Metro. The splines at the shaft down there at the firewall are the same. Steering wheel splines are the same up here. I did remove all the airbag stuff, including the airbag out of the steering wheel cover here. This is probably not going to stay, but I done it just to do it. So basically, the first step, guys, in building a car and making it your own is doing what you want to do and not listening to a bunch of other people and what they have to say. So if you want something, you make it work, you make it happen. And I know it don't make a lot of sense me putting this motor in here stock, but I do want the data. because I do know that Project Freetro is a very lightweight car, and I know that Barney was a very heavy 96. So we have the data from Barney, we have data from Freetro when it was stock. It's all in this series. So if you're new and it seems like we're backing up, yes we are. But we're also going forward and exploring a different platform and an engine swap that is somewhat simple. Pretty much, guys, like I said, you got an older 1.3, it's going to go in a lot easier. You're going to use your stock Metro TBI harness. It's going to plug into the older 1.3 throttle body. The issue I had was when this is an OBD2 motor and it has the advanced emissions, and that is where we got into the whole chassis harness swap ordeal. So there's a couple other pitfalls with the chassis swap. While the taillight sockets look similar, they will not work into the old taillights. So you would literally have to change the plugs at the taillight and repaint them with the later model stuff so it all plugs in. But that's pretty straightforward. All the wire colors match, and I'm going to go deeper into this swap as we go. But today, I got to get this core support on here so I can get the cooling system back in the car. Still not found a jack shaft. Been looking for a 1.3 jack shaft for a 5-speed. If you got one or know one, let me know down in the comments below. Made a post on Metro forums on Facebook. Got kind of some slack wanting to know what year, what make, what model. Well, I'm posting on the Geo forum and I'm asking for a 1.3 jack shaft. They're all the same. Swift, Metro with steam. As long as they're this body style, it all swaps. All from 89 all the way up to, 01. So I really don't want to have to cut set axles for Freetro, considering how this car's driven. It would be stronger with an axle shaft that I didn't have to cut and make one. So I will continue that search while we work on other things, and the axles will probably be the last thing that are actually installed in the car. But of other things to update, I did start the 96 motor the other day. It does not have a fuel system hooked up. I put some gas down throttle body just to verify my wiring work was still correct, and it fired up and burbled for a few seconds, and I was like, cool. So let's get that front end swap. And alright guys, I got one side here fitted up pretty decently down through here. As you can see, we have a little height difference here, and I'm going to show you why we have a height difference here on the 96 out there, because I actually stuck Freetro's fenders on it so I could have an idea of how we're going to progress here. Now, this isn't a beginner level swap, guys. Something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I knew it was going to take a bunch of work to do it. And I've never really progressed forward with it because everybody kept saying the frame rails are wider and the aprons are so much different. It's not the case. So let me flip it around. Alright, as you can see, I got the 94 fenders stuck on the 96 here. And they are quite a bit different, especially up here at the cowl. Now this fender is sitting flat on the 96 rail. And as you see, the back of the door here, back of the hood, is obviously going to be issues. But I'm going to take this fender and the 96 fender and section them together somehow to make this all work. But everything's going to be based off that core support. So, as you can see, the 96 hood is actually lower here. So, what we're going to have to do in this process, on the inner fender apron on the other one, we're going to have to take a small wedge out of it for the top rail to match up with top of the 96 core support. And I know a lot of you thinking, well, that'll never work. Hide and watch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to line this 96 core support up off the frame rail height itself. I'm going to adjust Freetro's inner fender aprons to match the core support angle. So let me show you where we're going to have to take the wedge out. So guys, you can actually see this stamped hole lines up now. Now this gap will go away. It will push up flush once the core support angle is right. But we're pretty much going to have to start cutting a wedge here, all the way down through, right through here, in order to bring us down this literal ½ inch right here to mate up with this. The important measurement here is this bolt hole here to this bolt hole here. Center to center is 6 inches, and that's what I've got right now. So that's where we go. So I'm not going to bore you with watching me fit this core support, because this is a very long, lengthy process, and I cut both these out with the Sawzall. So now I'm going back with a cutoff wheel and trimming everything up to the final dimensions. Anytime you plan to do something like this, always cut bigger first and then trim down to make a fit. Now, there was a few different ways I could do it. This is just the way that I felt like I wanted to do this swap. So let me get the, doing the thing. I'll be back once I get this core support fitted a little better, and I'll show you where I'm at. And just like that, run out of welding gas. It's Sunday and it's Memorial Day weekend, so it's probably going to be Tuesday before I can get my welding bottle fixed. Fixed, filled. So that puts me in kind of a bad spot, especially with all the welding that I do have to do. I got about 80% of the passenger side welded in, and I've got the driver's side tacked pretty good. But there's a lot of welding and a lot of fitting still to do. So I'm going to flip around and show you where I'm at. I'm going to mock the bumper and headlights up, where I can kind of get an idea on what I'm going to have to do with the fender line. Flip around. And alright guys, as you can see, our little hole where our air tube would normally pass through on a Metro is still there, and it is the same shape. As you see, I've welded up, I've welded forward, I've welded around the bottom, and I was down there on that bottom quarter and run out of the gas. So the core support, for all intents and purposes, on this side is mounted in the car. It's welded frame rail across. I even welded it on the inside just for good measure. But as you can see, our height difference, which was about a ½ inch, has turned into about an inch. So that means I'm going to have to mount this bumper on here, get a headlight stuck in it, where I can kind of have an idea of what I'm going to have to do with this apron to get a smooth transitional line right here. So, you ever heard those saying, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it? That is the truth, especially with automotive stuff. So if you want to be different, do stuff different, you're going to have to work for it. So if anybody's not noticed, nothing I have is quite normal, because I like my stuff to be different from everybody else's. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I generally like it when I do it. Well, since I'm running out of welding wire, I decided to mock it bumper and headlight stuff up. I went ahead and started mocking up one fender. So I'm going to kind of show y'all my cards before we actually get to that point. Here in just a second, I'll flip around and show you this fender. We'll show you the car, and we'll talk about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it a little bit more. So we have the front half of the 89 through 94 fender, and we got the rear half, including 99% of the wheel arch from the 95 up fender. So I cut them like this, where I'd have quite a bit of an overlap, and I'm not going to show you the car quite yet, but I cut the fender so I had quite a bit of overlap, so I had some extra metal to work with, and as you can see, they're going to jive pretty well together. There's going to have to be some massaging of the metal up here in this transition, but it's going to turn out pretty cool. But I'm going to have to get some welding wire and finish getting that core support welded in. I did have to cut in here. I cut this quite extreme in here, because I'm going to extract the piece out of 96 for this section, so I can get the hood to fender angle correct. Now, keep in mind, I need to keep this a smooth transition from here to here. So there's going to be quite a bit of work to make this work. And I just temporarily stuck a couple of sheet metal screws and some things to hold the two together, so I could mock it up, make sure I had a good headlight gap, bumper gap, and everything was just going to kind of play nicely. let me know down in the comments what you want to see about this. And as we go forward, we'll work along getting this stuff all wrapped up. And of course, the hood will be the last thing that we do, because the hood's going to be dictated off the fenders and the inner fender aprons. So I think it's going to turn out pretty cool. Don't mind down here at the bottom of this fender. Remember, these are cut for the slicks. They go on this car, and I'll more than likely have to cut this bumper too and do some kind of different thing here with this flare. Like I said earlier, guys, don't tell somebody you can't do something just because they ain't never done it before or seen it done. So I'm going to keep plugging forward. Like I said, it's probably going to be a few days before I get my welding gas filled because it is Memorial Day weekend. So I'm going to leave this video right here. So if you like what's going on, make sure you hit that like button. I look forward to hearing your comments down below. And most importantly, if you're not a subscriber and you're watching this, please hit that subscribe button because it does help the channel grow. And if you are a subscriber, I really appreciate y'all. So until next time, guys, and next Project Freetro video, see you at the next video. Thanks for watching.